Missed you, boss.
Yeah, you too, homie. Oh yeah, that's much better.
I feel like we both have been just as busy with stuff.
Yeah.
Like every
On the move.
time you were like, "Yo, I can't do it," I'm like, "Shit, I was just about to say I'm busy too."
You good?
Yeah, good busy. Just been taking care of some things around the house, and had a. This was probably 2 weeks ago. My toilet was leaking upstairs, and it was like it it was a thing that has been going on for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and so the floor was rotted underneath the toilet,
Oh.
and so I had to go straight up MacGyver on that bitch, and so I took a saw and I cut out like a square where it was rotted, and then I had to I took these 2x4s and sort of like pinned it in between the floor joists so I could like have something to support it, because otherwise I can't just sit wood back in there,
Right.
like wood back on top to close the hole. So I had to make this whole like frame underneath, reinforce it to the floor joists on either side, then put flooring back down. And the reason that it was messed up was because there's ductwork right like that flows like behind the toilet, along the wall, like underneath the wall, and it was causing so like if the wall is here, the floor was like dipped down like this, and the toilet was sitting right here, and so it was not flush.
Right.
So I had to then, when I put the flooring back in, I adjusted it and I lifted up the flooring so that it would be even. And so I basically like cut it back a little bit, and so it's only going down like that, and then I put the thing here and the toilet sits flat. So I had to get creative.
I like it.
And that took like honestly, it was pretty dope. Like I pulled it together. I noticed it. When did I notice it? I noticed it Thursday. Went to work Thursday, got my supplies, everything that I needed. Started working on it Thursday night, and then like basically was didn't have a toilet upstairs for Thursday. And then Friday went to work, came home, and got the flooring back in. So I finished the flooring and was ready to put the toilet back on. And then Saturday morning, when I canceled with you, I had to go get the stuff there's like normally they do a wax ring, but I did like a rubber plastic thing.
Okay.
It's less messy, lasts longer. And so I went and got that, and installed it and did all that Saturday morning. So it was like
Fire.
Yeah, it was pretty like lickety split. I felt kind of dope, like, because I'm not like, you wouldn't think of me as the handyman type dude, but
Right.
but your boy pulled it off, dude. Like, what, 48 hours without a toilet?
That's tragic.
Light
So
work.
he's waking up and having to walk all the way downstairs.
Yeah, shit was tough.
Bro.
Tough.
Especially when you get up in the middle of the night, you usually try to do that like stay asleep walk to take that piss. But like if you gotta go all the way down the stairs, like nah, your ass is up.
Sleep walk. Yeah, I just like stumbled. Yeah, and then last week I was sick.
Oh yeah, that's
right. You can hear me a little bit. I'm just like
COVID.
Yep.
You got your did you like lose your taste or smell or anything?
No.
Oh good.
No, I'm like 99% sure that it was just like it lasted like for the weekend. It was like Friday when I was at school teaching, I was like, I feel kind of off a little, but I was cool. I didn't feel nothing. And then Saturday, Sunday, I was just achy, fever, like congested.
Yep.
But I just like I smoked a lot. Honestly, the smoking helped with the aches. So like that's a pro tip. So like my aches went away I was teaching again by Monday. I was good. So yeah, it was that was what took me out last week.
Damn.
So now I think this is just like my sinuses are now weakened. Blowing my nose and stuff all the time.
Right.
Like it was nice this past week, and so the pollen and everything's been hidden. So now
the weather changed drastically too because it was like really cold. And
I think that's what spurred it on. What caused it was like I was outside and it was warm and it was like 70s for a week straight, and then it got down to like 30s again.
Yeah, I know exactly.
And I wanted to kill myself, and my body tried to do it for me. And I said,
yeah, dude, I was like, man, this weather's shitty. I got to get out. So I was in Florida all week. I just got back yesterday.
Oh, really?
And thankfully, yeah, the weather came back and it's like 70s. I'm like, I can do that. That's bearable.
Did you take the fam?
Yeah, my sister and
was this they went to Disney?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we went down.
Oh, they picked the perfect week.
Yeah. It was perfect down there. I think one of the days it was 91, but it was like 80s.
Yeah. Talk to me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what's up. So that's in Orlando, right? Okay. Have you taken any steps towards figuring out where y'all want to go?
No, not yet. Because like I said, when I go down there for those trips, I can't really like do it, right? Because
you're
like we got
helping them out and stuff.
We'll probably like when we usually go, we usually spend like just my family, we usually spend like and I have a bunch of work stuff. Like next Monday I have like a challenge that I'm running and I have to be in office teaching each day. So like we couldn't like stay longer this time anyway. But maybe like Bryn's birthday's at the end of the month and then mine's the beginning of June. And usually we take a trip then. So maybe right then we may go spend some time and then actually like, drive all around
figure it out.
different places. I was talking to somebody who was talking at the airport, and she just her and her husband just moved from New Jersey like 5 months ago, because their son like went to school down here and stayed down here and stuff, and they're like, oh, we're older, we don't want the cold anymore, and they're in a rental because the houses are like the market's crazy right now. Like she was like actually on like this past Sunday, like Mother's Day or whatever, she like oh, I want to go see a house, right? And like contacted realtor, set up for Monday.
Yeah.
And like realtor got back to her and was like, the sellers are accepting offers till 1 p.m. today, and like that's it. Like like because like
well, that's how it is. That's
like
how it is here.
People weren't even seeing the house. Like people were just like,
oh yeah, bro. I'm telling you, well, maybe not everywhere, but in Columbus, like the rule is, at least for now, is you list it Thursday, Friday, it's sold by Monday. Like it's like not even unless it's a piece of shit in like Linden.
Right.
Even if it's not a piece of shit in Linden, it's still probably gonna get sold like in a week.
Yeah.
Like it's wild.
Crazy.
It's wild.
So I'm like, damn, which is fine because like I said, for us, remember I had told you that first year anyway, I'm not looking
renting.
I'm not trying to do it that anyway. So I'm like, cool. That lets me just kind of confirms that I definitely need to rent. Like we still got to find the area we want to be in. So
yeah,
we'll figure that out.
Yeah, that's smart. Well, then like when you rent, it's like you just try it out for a year or whatever.
Right.
Like that's
Yeah.
what I'm planning to do is, I'll probably my goal is that I get a job down there teaching, and like most of the Imagine schools down there are in South Florida, which is like where I want to be, and try and transfer, get a job down there, and then just like rent a place nearby, and I can explore from there. In addition to like traveling down there, like I got this summer might be tough because I'm going to my girl's got her family's got a lake house in Wisconsin, right by a lake, which is why you would call it a lake house, I guess. I'm a dumbass. Anyway,
lake house next to a lake.
Lake house next to a lake. Believe it or not. And so fucking lake house. And so there's like a huge lake there, and they go fishing and stuff. And I brought my fishing stuff last year.
Oh, they some bougie black people. I like it.
Yeah. That's what I said. I was like, okay. Y'all doing it.
Y'all out there.
Y'all doing it real white. This ain't my style, but I fucks with it.
I like it.
I can get down. And yeah, so they're so they do that, and it was a great time last year, and so
nice.
We're going back there for a week, and then like I gotta look at the calendar. It might be the week after we're going to Austin.
Oh yeah, nice.
July. Yeah, just about the week after. Maybe like we'll have like a couple of days at home to chill, and then the 25th ish, like July, end of July, last week of July, we're going down to Austin. Got a place there. It's got a rooftop pool.
Nice.
We lit. About to be up there all day, chilling, and hopefully our spot's got a balcony. I forget if we got a balcony or not, but yeah, it's gonna be lit.
How long y'all staying?
So we're gonna stay a week down there.
Perfect.
And we'll probably spend most of the time in Austin, but I'm gonna rent a car when we get down there, and then I want to check out Houston, say what's up to my girl Megan Thee Stallion, and then hit up Dallas, see what Dallas is like, and then maybe if we're feeling it, hit up San Antonio, see what San Antonio is like.
Oh, you gonna spend your whole week driving?
No, dude,
it's like, this is like Texas so big. You're like, oh, let me just drive up this. Gonna be like, whoosh.
I looked it up, bro. Houston is the longest drive, I think, and it's like 2.5 hours. And then
yeah, but it's in Texas 2.5 hours.
So it's extra long. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you Texas.
They gotta have. I feel like in Texas they've got like 90-mile-an-hour speed limits, right?
Probably. Yeah, there ain't nothing out there. That's my point. You should be looking at desert. Actually, it may feel really short. You're just gonna be like, once you leave the city, it's gonna be like some desert, and you're like,
exactly. It'll say
cactus before, and then you just gonna be there.
Some tumbleweed. I swear that tumbleweed was just right there a minute ago. But yeah, the that's my goal is like I want to. So the idea is that we spend a day in each city. So like,
nice.
I really want to check out Houston. So we would drive there. We'd get up early, drive there. Fucking get a vibe.
Right.
We'll prepare beforehand and like have something set.
So did you map it out so it's like Houston, like cities here, or each day you're hanging out there, going back to Austin, restart the next day? Okay, cool.
Yeah. So home base is Austin, and we'll drive out to Houston, come back, spend the day there, come back. Then Now Houston, I heard the nightlife is wilding. So your boy might have to take Megan Thee Stallion and my girl out somewhere.
Megan Thee Stallion's not fucking with you.
Bro, are you kidding me? Look at this. Are you fucking serious? You're right. So, but I'll still holler at her. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna still try and set it up. Then go out, see the nightlife, see what's up. So Houston might turn into like a late night situation.
Mm-hmm.
But me and Tay, we aren't like super. We're not like nightlife people that much.
Yeah.
So we'll probably head home around 11.
Right.
And so that'll be Houston, and then but I think everywhere else like Dallas and San Antonio. And I'm not like crazy about seeing San Antonio because I have no interest in living there. Houston, I would say, I think we both agree Houston is like the main one that we would even consider. Austin and Houston are the two that we would consider like living in. But yeah, I gotta grab my heater because my basement is fucking freezing.
You know I got my shit on on my feet.
Find a way that 1 week that it was hot, thinking, oh, it's hot now. It's 70 plus, so it's warm, right? And then it freezes again.
Yep. Rookie mistake.
Truly the rookiest mistake of all time. Hi, baby. Oh yeah, needed that. Yeah, so for sure the rookiest mistake for sure.
That's why I got cold. It was like, look at this fool. He
put his heaters away. He put his dumbass heaters away. This motherfucker. We were gonna get his ass. That's what I was saying. Fucking pieces of shit. I hate this place. But I do have a dope house that is gonna make me lots of money. It's already making me, dude. I've been looking at like the amount of money I'll be getting from this when I move out, and
dude, you should
wow.
Since you're like going towards the entrepreneur thing, you should buy your next property on a home equity line of credit instead of a mortgage.
Okay.
You buy
so get a home equity line of credit on this and use that to
on your next one. You already got a mortgage here, so I mean you could, but I wouldn't switch it on just wherever you next buy a property. Because what
so I thought you were saying get a home equity line of credit on this to then buy the next one, but you're saying I can say it again.
Yeah, so you can actually just like you get approved for a mortgage, you can go and get approved for a home equity line of credit, right? And you use that to buy your next property just like you would a mortgage.
Okay.
The interest rates on a home equity line of credit are going to be a little bit higher.
Yeah.
But you'll pay the house off way faster, and you'll be left with way more money to do whatever you want with, and you'll basically become your own bank. So what you do is, let's say you bought a $400,000 house, for instance.
Okay.
Or let's just go small, 250, right? You bought 250, you buy with a home equity line of credit. Then what you do is, especially if you're from in your entrepreneurial ventures, but you even do this, you write, as an entrepreneur, you write yourself a check from your school, your school stuff. You would just take the check and you deposit it into the home equity line of credit. which instantly pays down the house.
Yeah.
But a home equity line of credit, because it's a line of credit, you can actually write out of it like a checking account. So you can actually write checks. So you deposit all your income into it, which pays on the house. You pay your bills out of it, but you earn interest on the income that you put into it as well.
Interesting. So make it like my bank account.
Exactly. So let's say if it's $250, you pay down.
Chase ain't doing me no favors.
Right. Well, exactly. And because all of your income is being deposited into it, even though you pay your bills out of it. Like, remember, so let's say you make 40, like most people who make 40 are not putting 40 towards their mortgage, right? Like,
yeah.
But when you deposit all your money in there, you put 40 towards the house, and then you still have that 40 and you can write checks out of it. So you pay your bills out of it too.
Yep.
You earn interest on that money. Way greater than you would in any checking account for sure too. But then when the house is paid off, like you can do it and pay most houses off in 5 to 7 years versus the 30. And then when you're done, because it's a line of credit and not a mortgage where they say, okay,
there.
Yes, that money's still there. And you've got all that money sitting there and you can it's revolving now. You can just use it for whatever you want. New real estate, whatever it may be, with like, you don't have to go ask anybody yours because it's a
interesting. Because banks have, from my understanding, over the last maybe 5 to 10 years, home equity line of credits have become like way more difficult to get. And I bet that's why, is because like, if you
they're going to discourage most people towards it because it doesn't necessarily serve them.
Yeah, exactly. And so I've never heard of that before. Normally I'm onto the shit, but I haven't heard anybody talk about that. I'll have to look into it, but
yeah, for sure. You got to brush shoulders with the.
So how are you able to pay it off in like a sixth of the time, like in 5 years? How are you able to do it that quick?
So obviously one of the things, like we said, the way it happens the quickest is just because now all of your income goes towards the house.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your mortgage payment right now?
Like $1,200, a little less than $1,200, $1,150.
Right. That's not your total salary.
Yeah, correct.
That's going to be like what, like 13, 14,000.
Oh, so you're saying instead of me like saving money, like putting it in, because right now any extra money I make, it goes into like stocks.
Right. And you could
instead of doing that, I would put it into this.
Right.
Got
it. You can technically still do that. So let's say you're doing some real estate stuff, and over the course of a year you make 40 grand in real estate.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm also I'm profiting on this one. So like
right.
So basically all my entire
income
paycheck
into that.
Yeah.
And it, like I say, it doesn't have to be, but if you do all that, remember it pays all that's. It's just like when you pay a credit card. Like if you put 5,000 down on a 10, that like you pay that card, but now you also have that 5,000 back available to you. So like just because as soon as you put it in, you're paying down that towards the house, but you also get that amount back because it's a line of credit, not just paying down the mortgage, right? You're not just returning a loan; it's a line of credit. So like I said, your entire income's going there, and so that's why. It's a lot shorter a lot of times because, like I said, no one else in any other situation, your mortgage, you're not paying, all of your income's not going towards your mortgage. And the reason that you're able to do that is because, like I said, unlike a mortgage, you can write checks out and pay your bills out of. So any bills and things you also pay out of there, of your home equity line of credit, because that's what you would do with your money anyway, right? You'd get your check, your bills out.
I just did like a quick calculation and like, I could pay off a house in like 8 years.
Exactly. I would say, depending on how much your income, like the most people, you're getting from 5 to 8 years. Is what.
But like I did a low ball, like on my income, I did low ball, and it's like I could pay it off in 8 years, which is
crazy. And then you have all that money is just yours. It's free, just free to do whatever. Like you don't have to go ask nobody. Like that's your money. You just.
And then so I'm not too familiar with HELOCs, as we call them. Home equity line of credit is way too much to say. HELOCs. So then, do I get the full amount of the house as the line of credit, or is it like a percentage of the appraised value of the house? You know,
I
that
I
might be too technical of a question.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if it varies depending on the person. Um I believe you're gonna get close to full.
Okay.
There's a question I have to. Obviously I don't have a house yet, so I haven't looked into it. But
Yeah. Is that your plan when you buy
yes.
something?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't my initial plan, but you rub shoulders with people who make millions upon million a month.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, what? Yeah,
Bet. Yeah. I'm with that. I mess with that. Yeah, that's what's up. Because I've been, in addition to, because I think honestly that's in my head. I just had it set like I'll just keep buying houses and take out mortgages until I hit the max you're allowed to have is like 5.
Mhm.
I'll just keep doing that, and then and I'll do varying whatever. The first one I plan to do 30, maybe the second one 30, and then the rest I'll do 15 or 10.
Right.
And then when I'm 50, I'll have a bunch of properties, or even in 10 years, I'll just sell them and level up to the next thing, or 5 years, or whatever. And so level up to like a complex, like an apartment building. And but yeah, this is even faster than that. I could
Right. Yeah, that's what's crazy about it. And then for the fact that you got that cash forever, like I said, you can literally just use that for, buying another business, like I said, buying more property, bigger property now,
Yep.
And then
Yep.
so you just kind of rinse and repeat.
Yep. So, and then you're able to get you can get checks that just pull from your.
Yeah, you can write checks out of it.
Wow, that's wild. In my 2 to 3 years, 2 years work. 3 years I worked in real estate. 2 years I worked for a mortgage company. That was like a year and a half. The amount of HELOCs I did was I could probably count them on my hand. It was not. We didn't. And I wasn't I wasn't front and center on all that, but I was close to it.
Right.
And I remember people talking oh, no, we don't do HELOC. HELOCs are bullshit. We don't want. And I'm guessing because they said that because they don't get the same percentages or whatever.
Yeah, well, even in the interest rate, so they deter people from them. Because, like I said, even that depends on each person. But if someone were go to get for a mortgage or a HELOC, this over here, the HELOC is going to be a higher interest rate, and so to try to discourage most people from it, because we teach people that
interest is scary, and
that good debt is debt that has low interest.
Yeah, wrong.
Rich people know that good debt is debt that allows me to cash flow. The interest is irrelevant.
Yeah.
I'll take 100% interest if I can.
Makai with that toy down his throat right now is the funniest thing I've ever seen. Bro.
He always does that to the little guy. But so it's designed.
Makai, you're so funny.
You say what's up?
What's up?
Don't whisper it. Say it out loud.
Yeah, say it loud. What's up?
But yeah,
keep deep throating that thing, buddy. So let's say my mortgage is 2.5%.
Mm-hmm.
We talking what, 5% on a HELOC or what?
I honestly don't know. I could be lying if I said I know.
No, that's fair.
I know it still depends on individual, right?
Yeah.
But I honestly don't know. Off the top of my head, when I was told that it'd be higher, I was thinking I was thinking, I just put in my head like 10%. Like, I don't know, like what's something like hot, like outlandish. I was just like, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just doing a quick Google search because I'm curious. I mean, like, 2.5% is nothing.
Right.
Let's say.
But you also don't have that. And that's why I always tell people to, because like, the thing that everyone said, like that they're taught is like, oh yeah, people think that they're more like their home is an asset. Well, it's like, well, it's not really an asset until you own the house and it goes up in value and you either turn around and sell it or you rent it out. Right. Until then, it's a liability.
Yeah.
This with the HELOC makes it an asset instantly because I have the cash. I'm going to pay off the house. So I get like 2 assets.
Yeah.
I get the revolving cash value of the house that I paid down. I have the house and I can still resell it or rent it or whatever. So I get like 2 or 3 assets out of it in less time versus, if I take my 30-year mortgage and now you're doing it right because you're making cash on it now with roommates.
Yeah.
But like you're making some profit off of it, but like you don't have access to that. Like however much you paid towards that house, you don't have that access to that right now.
Yes, correct.
And so like imagine if you had, and let's say you paid $80K down on this house so far, and then you GameStop and you realize, oh, like you did, this is going to be a buzz. And so you write a check out of that and you put $50K into that GameStop deal.
Yep.
Like you're living large now. And then you pull that out, get that earnings, you put it back into, pay that house down, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's crazy.
Yep. Or I put it into Dogecoin.
Dude, Elon.
I'm seeing about like 7 to 10%.
I was without looking at it. I was when it said high, I was like, I just put like 10%. It's got to be for to discourage most people. It's got to be at least 10%. Is what
I just did it. I just looked, and here's why people are dumb. Okay. That's not that much.
It's not, especially for the benefits. I was like, dude, I would do that for 20. Like,
I'd probably, obviously you got to look at the numbers, make sure it's cash flow, and make sure everything's looking right, and you're still able to profit and make money. But like, also if you can get it paid instead of 30 years in 5 years,
right?
I'll pay 15%. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? I don't care.
Because
most people don't care enough about the details to like look into all that.
Well, people, they know what they've taught and what most consumers look at in the financial, and you probably know this too, but in the financials, they know that they've even said people who like when they in the loan services industry, they don't. It's the interest people don't actually even care about. It's the monthly payment. That's where everyone decides if they can get to the month. That's why when you go get a car, they're just like, "What's your month?" Like it's just if they can get you the payment. And so, like I said, people are even on a good interest rate, but it's like, what monthly payment can I fit? And that's why they stretched it over these 30 years. And it's like, that's asinine. Like you said, I'll take the higher percentage if it's going to take me 7, 8, not 10 years. Like I'm going to win.
Take me a third of the time or a sixth of the time.
Right. Like I win in that game because the name of the game is the length of it. Like even if it's like I said, 2.5, that's nothing. Yeah. But over 30 years, the bank wins a little bit, right? Now you're intelligent enough to, like you said, do the certain thing, like because you're renting out, you're cash flowing now, so you're winning as well.
Yeah.
Most people are just living in that house.
Yeah.
Not winning, right? Now they're told, oh yeah, you're building this asset X, Y, and Z, and it's like, but it's not an asset right now because I can't do anything with it. It's until 30 years from now.
Yeah. Yeah. Or until you pay off most of it and then you get a refi or something like that. Right. But then you're just extending that loan, that mortgage out farther.
Right. Especially if you why they're happy to do that with you.
Yeah, I know people that have almost paid it off and then they refinance it for another 30 years. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Right.
You're out of your mind.
Or like my mother-in-law, she has a house and I think she'll be done paying it in the next probably 5 to 6. Like she's been pretty studious with it, but people get in a cash crunch, and that house, I mean, obviously has risen some value over time since she bought it, but like use money for other things that she would, or put money away, and so hasn't upgraded the house. And so
Yeah.
it's like, if you were to turn around and sell, like you're gonna have to dump X, 20, 30, like into it. And it's like, well, at that point, you just shouldn't have.
I was just about to say that. Because guess what? It is, yeah, it is an asset, but guess what? It's a deteriorating asset.
Mhm.
So you gotta, I mean, like the shit in my bathroom, like, hello, that ain't unique to me.
Right. Exactly.
That ain't brand new. So
Right.
like, and I'm a very diligent, like I take care of my stuff. I'm always like I clean all the time.
Mhm.
So I'm part of the reason here I would say this is the majority of the reason why I clean the way that I do is because the more that I clean, the more in touch I get with every inch of this house. And so
Right.
when I'm cleaning this part of the year or whatever, this every week, I can see, oh, like there's some moisture over here,
Right.
or I don't know, like whatever. And so it's more about like if I was the way that I found the toilet situation was I was vacuuming in the bathroom and saw a little bit of water at the back of the toilet, and I was like, we just I my other roommate just showered, and I was like, I don't remember there being water there.
Right.
Maybe it's just because it was like because there's just a fan in the bathroom, so sometimes it can get a little, and sometimes he don't use the fan, but he most of the time he does. I'm being annoying. Um, but anyway, so I thought maybe it was just a lot of moisture from the shower and whatever. And so then I kind of moved the toilet around and I saw that it looked like it definitely came from the toilet, and because it was more, it was like full drops of water, not like condensation or whatever
Mhm.
happens when it's wet in the air, humid. And so that's how I figured it out. And so instead of that sitting there and rotting and then somebody falls through the toilet or whatever, falls through the ground uh, in a week or a month or a year,
Mhm.
I was able to see it probably a day or two after it happened, or maybe even as it did happen, and fixed it in 48 hours. Boom, and we're
Right.
back in business. And it's fixed and it's sturdy as heck. I mean,
Right.
it will last forever now. Now I did cut out some of the flooring, but I can that I can get that back in. That's light work.
Right.
So yeah, I mean that's that's the key thing is understanding what, yes, it is an asset, but it will deteriorate and become shittier the longer that you let it go. And so after 30 years, if you don't touch it, good luck.
Right. Well,
You're
yeah, and the thing too is, like you said, like if you do the HELOC versus a mortgage, right? Let's say you had to, even if you want
and let
renos
me
on,
look.
like you
Guess
could
what people
pay it up.
do when they go to update their house? They get a fucking HELOC.
Mhm.
So continue. Say what you're gonna say.
No, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like if you were to do that already, it's like if you were to sell it and you wanted to add, like obviously most people when they go to resell, you've got it. You if you want the true value and you want to come out on the good side of selling that house, you usually need to renovate before you sell it, right? Like you've
Yeah.
got
Oh
to
yeah. Yeah.
get
Yeah.
the value out of it.
Yep.
And but then you like people are cash strapped, and so usually you got to pick and choose the couple areas that are going to add the value. You got to do it the cheapest way possible. You could turn around in property and be like, oh, I've got a whole $300,000 sitting in this account that I could really just like build a whole new house if I want. Like not that you would, but it's like you don't have to spare any expense and could add $100,000 to your house depending on what you add to it, and when you go to sell it anyway,
Yeah.
and then still get that cash back.
Yep. For sure.
Crazy.
So just to confirm and reiterate, when you get a HELOC, you don't have to get a mortgage. So you can get a HELOC to buy the house.
Mm-hmm.
And like, do you go through the same process? Like you could put a down payment on it and all
That's
that?
Yeah, like you still got to get approved, and then your percentage, and there's like all that. Yeah, all that's the same. The interest is going to be higher, like you said, and all that.
Wow.
The only difference and again, you don't have to do this, like, which would be foolish, and maybe why, as they're taught, it would be good advice. Like if you're not going to dump your income into that, because that's not something that automatically happens, right?
Yeah.
This is
yeah.
Like then, yeah, you probably. I mean, you're probably better off with just a mortgage. But if you actually take your income and you dump it in to that home equity line of credit, and like I said, you have the ability to.
Well, then imagine too, like imagine in my situation, imagine if I did that with my place, I'm getting paid the amount that the mortgage costs already. Exactly. So I could just dump that right back into it, plus some extra. So like even with the higher percentage, higher interest, I could be, breaking even.
Right.
In addition to what I'm making with my job, and then.
Exactly.
I'm gonna have to call my mortgage guy.
Like I said, I don't know about like once you're in a like how all that.
Yeah.
But that was how when it was being explained to me, it was like, hey, when you go to do it, do this.
Yeah. I was like, definitely when I moved to, because I think the main thing with me is that like I think I'm gonna like Texas, but there's just something about Florida that it's like,
dude, I just
calling me. And also I have way more opportunities in Florida than I do in, like, there's like 50 Imagine schools in South Florida, and there's like 2 in Texas. Yeah. So it's like, I have a feeling that it's gonna be easier to get to Florida. Plus, I just love Florida.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I would actually have to ask her, because I have a friend. She's wealthy. Who lived in California for a long time and just recently dipped to Texas, like within a month, Austin. And I'm like, cool. But then she just posted like yesterday. She was like, friends, where's like the best place to live in Florida? Like we're looking at. I'm like, you just got the place in Austin.
What?
Not that. She got the cash for it, but like, yeah, they're already like trying
She's
to.
done with it. Damn. There was so many people that hopped on the Joe Rogan flow and just went to Austin.
Yeah, I know a lot of people live, and they shouldn't say like she hated or anything. And I would assume, I don't know if they rented or I haven't asked her. The house is nice. I would assume that they'll probably keep that. If they did, they'll just keep it.
Yeah. I mean, if you got the money, shit. I mean, like, just Airbnb it and or rent it out and call it a day. But like, yeah, I mean, that's wild. That's kind of my concern, is that Austin, like you said, Austin's a lot like Columbus, and that's what I'm afraid of. And I'm cool. It's probably better because it doesn't get cold, but it also snowed this past like a couple of months ago, so that's sketchy.
Yeah, it doesn't get as cold, but it definitely during the winter, because I went during the winter, it'll be like 45. Like you'll need a jacket for sure in the winter.
Yeah, that ain't it. So, but I mean, like it doesn't get to 30 like it does in Columbus. So like that.
Right. And like you said, and you should avoid snow, which to me is almost worse sometimes, because I'm like, man, if it's fucking cold, there might as well just be snow on the ground. Like just shut it down and make me mad. Like I hate, but even in Columbus,
I think snow makes me more mad.
And there's no snow. Like, because now, like,
I don't want shit on my shoes. I don't want all that.
I'm with you in there, but then now people still expect me to go where, like, you can't use an excuse like, oh, it's just like.
Then people expect me to go now.
Like, no, there's snow. Sorry, but like when it's cold and there's no snow,
bruh, your ass would just be like, I ain't going. Even if you don't want to, come on, bro. It's that's my excuse. It's too cold. Fuck y'all.
I don't even give people an excuse anymore. That was the biggest thing when I met. I'm like, why are you always telling people? She was like, I'm like, I don't tell my shit. The answer's no. Why? Because I said no, bitch. I'm not.
Because I said no.
Like, who the fuck are you? Like, oh, I can't come. Oh, why not?
Why not? I don't want to.
I can't come. Right. I'm like, yeah, like you want me to really hurt your feelings and tell you like I just don't feel like coming to your shit. Okay, but like you asked for this, not me.
That's it, dude. That's freeing for real. I don't know. It's been like 5-6 years since I just started. I'm me. All right.
Right.
I'm me. This is what I think. This is how I feel. I'm gonna say it. If you want it, you'll get it. And if you ain't happy about it, next. See you later.
Know what's freeing about it too? And like I said, I just like, I'm like, yep, I'm a self-proclaimed asshole, right? Because people will perceive that as you being an asshole. To me, I'm like, first of all, that's
the same. My girl says the same thing about me.
Yeah, I'm like, first of all, it's the most genuine thing I can do because everyone
wants to play the game.
Conversations about this, or like, I want to go to this and show up. That's fake, bro.
Yes.
And then when I do show up, people are like, damn, like you came, right? And it means so much more because you know I'm not a fake motherfucker. Like if I should like, it's like, damn, Elijah showed up. It's like, yeah, because I don't be going to shit I don't want to do. So
I don't be going to shit.
Like when I actually show up, I really care.
Yeah, like my housewarming party.
Right. Exactly.
You didn't show up. Now that shit was
I legit wanted to come with that. I did have a conversation, with everything going on. I would if it was not
non-COVID, you'd be there. Non-COVID, you'd be there.
Yeah, just at that space. Like even now, it's stuff good. Like if we've gotten shot, I would go now. Like if it was next week.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the
and we had to see the biggest thing was like we had to see some people who are very high risk. They're like still.
Got it.
I think I may. I don't know if I remember that or not.
I think we talked. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we talked about that.
Yeah, and I was I'm cool regardless. I'm not really worried about it, but I was like, I'd hate to like we gotta go see these people and then it's like, oh damn, they died because they's old as fucking.
Damn, they died.
And
yeah, dude, I respect. But that's me. It's like now I'm a very extroverted person, so almost always the answer to going out and doing something is yes. Mm-hmm. But like if I'm there and it's whack, I'm out. Like there was a Halloween party I went to this past year with my girl with Tay. And got there and it was like, how can I explain this? It was like everybody in there, we're in this like small apartment building. Everybody was like, it looked like everybody was conflicted. You could see it in their face. So like, I don't think we should be here, but like I wanted to be because of like friends, but COVID. And I was like, fuck all y'all. I'm about to start bumping and grinding in this bitch. Y'all better get with it. And nobody was getting with it. And so I was like, all right, see ya. I'm out. And I left, bro. I left. Like I pulled up. You can ask my girl. We pull up and I'd say 30 minutes in, we left.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of those things. I know what you're talking about. It's like if you're gonna do it, you got to either decide like, yeah, we're gonna do it, and we're taking the risk, or because there's risk to everything. By the way, like who cares? Like if you're gonna do it, just go do it. You can't like
all of us were young. It's like, what are we doing? What are we acting like?
Halfway do it.
Ooh, let me keep my space over here in the corner so I don't pass my germs, bro. We all got germs. I want them.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you're like you said, especially at, like it's a house part, like if you're gonna go, you got to go and do it, right? You can't be like in the corner. If you're not gonna go, cool. Like you said, just be like, cool. I'm not going for this reason, and don't go, or just don't go,
or just don't go. There ain't no reason. I don't want to go. But yeah, like that, I was pissed because that was like the first party that I've been to since COVID, and I was hoping for like back to the vibes and just like, because I went to the same place the year before and it was lit. Like it was
Okay,
all
I was
the
just about to
it was
ask.
all the
Have
way
you
up.
yeah, that was the other thing I was about to ask. Have you been to a party since like not college? Because like college parties that are like totally different vibes now. Because in college,
I went to a college party like maybe two or three. I went to two or three college parties. I didn't, I'm a dumbass. In case you didn't, well, but everybody else, I'm a dumbass. Especially when it comes to school. So like, I made a commitment to myself, especially being like, I was the first person in my family to go to college. I made a commitment to myself that like, I'm not throwing this away. Like I'm not gonna like, and I don't want, I don't want C's. You know what I mean? Like C's get degrees, which I did get quite a few C's. But I because I didn't go out and like just committed to getting all my work done. Like it wasn't until probably my senior year that I even missed an assignment.
Wow.
Like it was, and that was because I got married like an idiot, and that didn't work out. But it was my senior year until I even missed an assignment. Like I would get everything done. Now your boy was getting straight B's and a few C's and like one D. But like if I didn't commit to like having all that time set aside, I would have fumbled and gotten some D's.
I love that you do that about yourself. And the biggest thing that you said that people don't do is like you're like you made the commitment to yourself like before the party came. You were just like I know if I don't like lock in on this,
yeah.
I love that because I think that's one of my principles of success that I tell people, right? Like I also and
I spoke it into existence too. Like I told everybody, it's like I can't. It wasn't like I was like, yo, and I would get invited. Trust me, I was a
yeah, you're social.
Yeah, everybody wanted me to go, and I wanted to go, and I told them like, yo, I really want to, but I can't.
Dude, I love that because I like people don't live that way. One, but it's like the thing I always talk about like principles, and like me and my wife have this conversation a lot. I'm like, that's what I mean by like having a set of principles. Like the principles are something that I've agreed and decided to before a situation comes up. So when that situation comes up, I'm not actually thinking, I don't have a choice.
Yes.
Like, I want there, like I said, sometimes it's not always like I want to do certain things, but it's like my choice, like I already decided.
The choice has been made. Yeah.
Yeah. That like
principle has been set. So like there's not a choice. It's just like I have to follow this commitment that I made or this principle.
And for me, it's like because I set them up and I do that. It's like, and if I were to, it fractures who I am and how I live my life on a daily. So it's like, to someone else where it's like, dude, just come to the party. It's like, it's not about the party. It's about if I betray the principle or like I said, this commitment to myself, who I think I am, who you guys see me to be, literally falls apart.
Yeah.
Like, and that would be tragic.
Well, and it going when you committed to yourself to not go, you said fractures. It's like, I think of like a crack of ice in like where it's just like, and so it's just like, and then eventually everything falls apart.
Exactly.
It's that idea where like, and then it's also if you say shit to yourself, and this is why I'm a huge believer in speaking things into existence. If you say things out loud and you say it to yourself and then you don't act it out, a little bit of you changes or dies. Like who you could be goes away. You're like, you're what other people want you to be. That's not it.
And like you talked about, your power to speak things in existence becomes less
Yes.
Because like I said, people do that over and over and then expect to be able to say, oh, I'm going to do this. And it's like,
Yes.
I hear what you're saying, but your own self hears what you're saying too. And it's like, you're not about that life. We've never committed to anything we said we were going to do. So like, literally, like,
Yeah. So
it weakens it.
and it's weird to think about, but you're truly you're a collection of all of your beings, all of the iterations of yourself. Like I am friends with who I was 5 years ago. Like
Right.
Russ has a song. It's like a really old song where he says, fuck, I'm gonna remember. I can't remember the line. Hold on. I gotta Google this shit. It was something about. Okay. The song, I forget what the name of the song is, but the opening line is, "I became who I looked up to when I was 7."
Mm.
And that hit me like a ton of bricks when I first heard it, because this was like 2015. I became who I looked up to when I was 7, and like that, I realized, and like when I heard that, a bunch of things like connected in my brain where I was like, oh, I'm I love me when I was 7 to 10 to 15, 20, 25, like all the collections of the myself, right, of my being at all these different stages, like, yeah, to some degree, like maybe they're gone, but I'm I'm the collection of all of those beings at this point.
Mm-hmm.
My spirit is that. My mind is a collection of all those experiences. So if I am the type of person that says back then I'm gonna do this and then I don't do it, I there's something, at least for me, I can't speak for anybody else. For me, if I was that type of person back then, I ain't cool with that dude.
Mm-hmm.
And so then and I doubt I'm alone in this. I'm sure you're with me here, but even like the listener, I'm sure I'm not the only one that feel like this. So those feelings and those thoughts and those iterations of who you are as a person, if you're not squared with them and you were fake to yourself, you take note of that in the same way that you note of it with when someone else is fake to you. I feel
Right.
like that's the same thing.
Well, it's like this, right? And so first, the thing that's crazy about that line that he said, and how I perceived it, because I look at it the same way too, for myself, is he said, I became who I looked up to when I was 7. And most people probably listen to that and assume there was an actual person he was looking up to. I bet if you ask him, because the way I see it too, is I was like, when I was little, I was projecting on what I would be like as like the free like things I would do. And it was me. I was looking like people are like,
Yes.
I was like, there wasn't, for me, there really wasn't.
It wasn't one person.
I was
It was
pulling
like,
things from people and putting them into the future me, right? Like
exactly,
that person. I'm like,
exactly.
it was me who I wanted to be.
Exactly, and forming it into me, a
Exactly.
version of me.
Exactly. And so like
So
it's really
smart. So
cool when
smart.
you're doing that. If for the people who do that, it is cool. Like so when you realize that fuck all those things that I like as a little, I am that today. Like I looked up to me, but I like and I hit it. It's so much cooler to me than just mimic a specific person and like reaching there, because it's like it's still you.
Yes.
But to your point, yeah, it 100% works like that. Whether someone wants to admit it or not doesn't matter. It's a fact, right? It's just like this.
Well, can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, for sure.
There's a study that oh shit. I don't think it was Yak Panksepp. Doesn't matter. Some psychoanalyst, scientist guy did a study on children. Jacques Piaget is his name. Jacques Piaget.
Okay.
Um, I think he's French. Doesn't matter.
Sounds French.
Yeah, very French. Whatever. Jacques Piaget. He studied children and the way that they act. And what's something that's almost human universal is when children play together, they play like house, right? And what he would do is he would study these children and then like try to see what their behavior was with as they interacted with their family, and if they were going to play when they played house, were they playing like their mom or their dad, or were they doing something different? Because most people would probably say when they're playing house, somebody's mom, somebody's dad, and somebody's whatever the dog. And the usually there's not anything that like they're not playing the children because nobody gives a fuck about the children because that's who they are.
Right.
And so usually it's one plays mom and one plays dad. And what he realized was that it's not imitation. It's not mimicry. They're not doing exactly what their mom or their dad does. They see that, and it's almost either there's like some ancient evolutionary connection in our brain, or it's they're taking what you just described. You're taking pieces of, okay, this is what mom looks like. And it's not my mom, it's mom like as such. It's dad as such. What does that look like? And so yes, pieces obviously pulled from your actual mom and dad, but you're also pulling from what you believe and what other moms and dads that you've seen in life and on TV, whatever, as well as like this is the evolutionary like history or whatever that we have. You also see, that whatever you consider to be mom or dad, and then you act that out. You represent it in this game of mom and dad playing house, and that's this exact same shit that we both did growing up. And I can't imagine we're the only, like, no way, no, everybody else does the same thing. Like,
yeah, I wonder. I think the difference is the consciousness to it, right?
Yeah.
You and I were consciously aware that we were doing that and what we were trying to create. And I don't think
it was on purpose for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, I would agree. That I love. That's it's an interesting study because, like I said, it just makes so much sense.
Yeah. Well, because like before I read that, I would have said, yeah, they're just like maybe it's their own version of mom and dad, but like it's I guess I wouldn't think that. I mean, maybe I would, because I tend to do that, but I bet most people would just think like, oh, they're just pretending to be their mom and their dad, and
right. And it's specifically the parents, but that's because through their lens, when I'm looking at my son, I'm looking at him through my eyes, and so when I'm looking for him to do things that I do, right, and he does so like that his mom does. So when he's too young to be, but like when he's acting out, you're saying, oh yeah, he's being like his mom or being like his dad, and we assume that that's everything that they're being. When it's like, no, they did something like their mom or dad. That's not who they're, but we only perceive that because we're selfish beings by nature. And so I'm looking for like, oh, he did that just like me, or he did that just like his mom.
Yeah. Well, another thing in this study was that they, so obviously, yes, you do have to be a certain age, but if they pulled the kids aside and asked them, when you did this, what were you trying to do? They can't articulate it. And like, duh. But it's also really interesting. Like, you would think if they're able to, what they're doing is so complex. Like, children are very complex, and this game is like really layered. And I mean, it's like especially for a kid, like, what the hell are you doing? This is what, but like they can act it out, but they can't articulate what exactly they're doing. And I think that's the similar idea with like principles. I've already made the decision. I've already acted it out in my brain. The answer is already set. The principle's already laid. So I've already acted out every scenario where I'm going to be put into this situation where, do I go out to a party? Do I not go out to a party? And the answer is no. And
Right.
I want to. I really seriously want to. But if I go out till 4 a.m. tonight, I'm going to be sleeping till noon tomorrow, and then I'm not going to have enough time to write this paper and do this homework and do this and do this and do this. So like,
and people don't think like that though. That's what I meant by the difference in like successful people. Like when we're consciously aware of that, the reason you set that premise, because you're right, that's how it works, is because you're like I said, and you're playing out all the scenarios. That's I tell people around me all the time, like there's not a scenario that I haven't played out a million. Like that's just what my head does on autopilot, and I make a decision like I said before, and it's like this is how I respond in that situation, and more than half of the situations I probably play, I'll probably never be in life, and hopefully I never be in life, right? But it's when it happens, I are like it's already been decided what would I would do. But most people don't do that, and it's because I'm like you were saying, like most people don't look at and are creating that future version or iteration of themselves, like you were saying. So you played it out, and you're like, because people would go, that's so stupid. Oh, why can't you just go to the party? It's not going to hurt anything. It's like, well, yeah, it's again, the party is not the issue. It's that when I'm looking at my future self, me going to this party and then not doing this, which gives me a D here, and then that's going to make me feel some type of way, maybe X, Y, and Z, fractures that future self you're looking at, and now it's a lesser version. And when you are consciously aware of that, you're like, it would kill me to be this future version of myself versus this future version of myself that I'm every day working towards being like that. But when people aren't consciously doing that, then like I said,
you give up a part of who you could be.
Right. But the thing is
that
and of who they could be, because they just wake up and just react. Like I hate it so much, like, which is why I hate most people. Like I mean, like
say the whole, which is why I hate most people.
Yeah, because people are just so like like they just react. I'm like,
and guess who in the animal kingdom, those people are prey.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just reacting, your ass is getting ate.
Yes, most people just walk around and they're like, "Oh, this happened." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, you did." Like, I never thought about it. I don't know. I'm like, like people seriously do, and I'm like, how do you live life every like? I've played out it a million times. Like I don't know how else to be. I'm never like, oh, I'm just reacting to the moment. I didn't think about like what.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't get it. But yes, there is a lot of people that are that way, and it's. I'm trying to think of like the last time that I remember even having my like brain being wired that way was when I was in like middle school, like fifth, sixth grade. That was when I was like a, like wide-eyed, bushy-tailed little punk, and I just it was unbearable to live that way, and so I just was like, I gotta change it.
And shit.
Yeah.
Like depressed and shit. Like that doesn't surprise me when people are that way. I'm like, yeah, you didn't fucking think about you. Like if you just, like you said, live in that state, you have to live in a state of that. It's fear. Like you just like you don't have any control. You're just like anything can happen in it. Like I don't walk around thinking that. Now I know that there's things that I can't control, but I walk around like I'm very in control of pretty much almost everything that happens around me. And the slight few things that someone would react to outside of my control, because I can't control necessarily everyone's reaction, I've already counted for that and know how, I'm going to react or not react to that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not like, I don't have anxiousness about like, like, I don't know.
Yeah. Like that's, so the first, this might not be exactly true, but the first thing that I remember that sort of pushed me to this, to the point that I'm at now, where I'm right there with you on this whole thing, like where I was depressed, I was sad and like scared and didn't know how to like interact in the world. I remember noticing I remember noticing how this was in middle school. The first thing that sort of pushed me in this direction was noticing how other dudes would act around girls. And I was like, you punk ass motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm.
We were just hooping. A girl walks in and your ass wants to jump and try to touch the rim.
Dude, that's
what
funny.
The fuck is wrong with you?
As soon as you said that people used to do that all the time.
And I would look at them like, I remember being, whatever, how old are you, 12, 13? Just looking at them like, bro, with my little 13-year-old ass. You just stopped the game so you could jump and touch the rim? For what, bro? Why?
Oh.
Why? And then they would be like, I don't know. And I'm like, I know you fucking know. You did it because of that girl that just walked in.
All right.
You fucking idiot.
But that's what I'm saying, because they don't. That's
exactly. Like, and I was like, hold up.
Yeah.
You don't know why you did that? I know why you did that. And your ass doesn't know why you did that.
Mm-hmm.
Think. Learn. Like, what are you doing? And from that point, I was like, oh, I'm just going to treat girls like they're my homies from this point forward, because every other dude is trying to be like whatever that is, and that pisses me off. So I guarantee it pisses women off. So I'm gonna girls, you're just like my homies. What's good? And since then, I never had any issues with the ladies, but most people don't do that. And I think it's not even that they don't do it; it's that they don't pay attention and don't know that what they're doing.
Yeah, it's really not in their awareness level to even like. There's
and like, I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it's a thing where like they're not capable, or maybe it's a maturity thing, or I don't know what it is, but like I can't even fathom. Personally, I think it's like I would say that it's like how would you say this? So like, I guess what I want your thoughts before I share. I don't know, but I'm gonna say this. I don't know what it was about me that made me pay attention to that, and have the wherewithal to be like, I know exactly why you just did that. But it's so dumb and infuriating that you just did that. Stopped our whole game. And maybe that's it. Like, I cared more about the game than the shorties. But like, you stopped the game. We're playing a game, and you stopped the game to jump and touch the rim because you think it's going to impress this girl that just walked in. What the hell is wrong with you? And then to top it all off, you say, I don't know why you did that. Bitch, I know exactly why you did it.
Right. So I know it's true. Like, you can't prepare or respond for something you're not consciously aware of, right? Yeah. So that's why they like, because but when, like you said, when you were younger, you're just, even though you didn't know as much as you know now, or what you were even doing then, your consciousness, your level of awareness was open to things, and that just leads you to other things. And I think it has to do with, at least I can speak for me, it is control. So like, for instance, in that same situation, I'd have been 100% aware that the girl walked in too. The thing is,
best believe I was aware.
Right.
My plan was just to like keep doing what I do. Like,
I was just about to say, except the difference is I've already played out where my strengths are and what I can control. And so to impress her, I'm a fucking clown you guys in the middle of this game. Like I was already doing, but like, I'm going to make sure that she knows
I was already doing.
You know what I'm saying? Like that. Yeah. I'm already like clowning.
It would be like my dad walking in or my like coach walking in. Like, you're at one level, and then it's like, I'm taking it to that next
exactly level. Yeah, you're just like, okay, bet. Like, watch this. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Like, and so that was a conscious choice, though, that that, like you said, was even then, like you didn't, and I can't necessarily, like it was, but not the same awareness that I even have now. Is like, it was something I decided before then that like, oh, when anyone, like you said, not necessarily that girl, like that I want to impress, walks in, like said a dad, whoever, like, I'm just gonna like, this is what I'm gonna do.
Well, and that, the story I brought up is just like one of 1,000.
Right.
Like, it would be times where I'm talking to a girl or a couple girls, and like me and or it'd just be me. Let's just say it's just me talking to some girls, and then another dude walks up and will like say some negative shit about me, like, "Oh, nice shoes, idiot," or you know what I mean? I'm like, who asked you, bro? We're having a conversation.
Right.
What do you do? What? You just walk up to say some negative shit about me in front of, what is your problem? And I that happened all the time. All the time. Where dudes would just, it was like, middle school was such a hilarious time. Because it's just like testosterone and estrogen running wild.
Mm-hmm.
But like that happened all the time. Where like it would be anybody, like any dude talking to another girl. A dude is gonna go up and say some shit. Oh, remember when you shit your pants last night? And it's like, bro, I'm having a conversation and we ain't talking about shitting nobody pants. Can you shut up? Like, I don't. It's all that stuff blew my mind. But let me say, here's what I think it is. Here's what I think you said consciousness. I think that it is that, and self-awareness. But I think one thing, I think what it may come down to, or like a practical way of talking about it, is paying attention. And I don't think that we.
Right, but that's what I meant. Like, you can't pay attention to something you're not aware to. Right.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm not disagreeing. I'm adding on. Is that like practically, and in our society, I feel like we used to maybe inadvertently, or like it was already built in, or we just had to, 50, 60 years ago. Whereas now, maybe inadvertently or whatever, it doesn't matter how, but paying attention to what's going on around you is not, it's much less common. Just paying attention in general, like, that's how you get, I call them prey animals, but that's how you get human beings that act like prey animals. When somebody hijacks a plane and there's 50 of y'all and 5 of them, and y'all do nothing, and they got knives. The fuck are we doing? You know what I mean? Like, and obviously that I'm sure there's other circumstances in that whole situation, but like,
no, I just think it's funny because I know that you played that scenario out in your head, and it's funny because I have too. And people will say things like, well, you never know until you get in there. No, you don't know. I know, because I've already played it out like how many times, and like over and over and over again. And like you said, just like you didn't go out to the party, I've already decided what I would do in that situation, regardless of the outcome. And I've kind of hypothesized what the outcome would be. And also, no, you don't know because you're not actually thinking about it. I know what I would do in that situation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is something that pisses me off. When really any situation, when people are like, oh, I couldn't imagine what that's like, or I don't know what I would do in that situation. Yeah, I do. Like, you haven't thought about that? You haven't thought about what it'd be like for like your homie to get shot in front of you?
Right. Dude, sometimes
like,
real time. It's funny because like sometimes I'll be with my wife. We played this sometimes where she'll like walk in like, what would you do right now with X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, I already saw that. And like this, and she's like, what? Like where? Like how to get out, or like if something happened here, like this, what would you do if this like dude who's like 20 yards in front of us? I'm like, oh yeah, I already thought that. I saw him 20 yards before that, and I already decided that if homie like,
and it's you started off by saying that it's sort of like a muscle, where if like you don't use it, it deteriorates, which I think is exactly right. Is so like, and it's impossible to play out every scenario, right?
right,
That's not possible because there's infinite scenarios.
right,
But the more that you build the muscle, the more that so like it's not that every situation is unique, because like people are the same and your environment is relatively the same. So like me thinking through, okay, what would I do if like I got hit by a car, is also like the same situation as I'm riding my skateboard in the park. Like if somebody's, I can see and pay attention to how people are looking and where their attention is, and then I can adjust to that. So like it's not that every situation is brand new. It's all sort of works.
I was just about to bring that up. So to answer this question about you, because you're 100% right. What speeds up the muscle and the amount of scenarios you can play out, because this is a professional skill, and I'll give a couple of examples of people who actually do this in their professional on the daily. Like you said, it's actually patterns. You see, like it's the same group of scenarios, different objects and things. I think where we got it from, everyone has this, because people say, "Oh, I'm just not like that." No, that's not true.
No, everybody got it. Yeah.
Become aware, because like you were saying, back in nature, I think we developed it because we were vulnerable. We were not the biggest, baddest, fastest, strongest thing around.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're roaming through and I see a monkey, like we know things about these animals now, but I see a monkey or a tiger, like I'm seeing things and I have to be aware.
If you see a dragon, right. Remember we talked about a dragon is like a cat, bird, reptiles, a cat, bird, snake, I don't know, fire breathing, whatever, I forget what the other thing is. It's like 4 things in one. So it's the same thing where it's like aggregation of the things that kill us.
Right. And it's just like when you saw those things before, and then people say this, but people don't consciously think about it. And if I said this,
and it's because people are so like safe and don't have shit that's wrong.
So they don't well, it's also because in school, you get taught how to think in school. You don't get taught how to think in school. You get taught what to think.
Yes.
You stop using that muscle because you're not being taught, like we like played on it, like how to critically think, how to critically argue and challenge things. That's not taught anymore. So back then when I'm walking
in my class, it is though.
And like, and people say this, I go to any room and I'd say, we all know that communication, that 90% of communication is what? And everyone would go nonverbal, right? We know that, but people only pay attention to the 10% of verbal. So what that means is by that is like, I'm communicating with human beings around me all the time, but your awareness is shut off. Me and your awareness is open. So I don't have to know the people I'm talking. When the body language I see, I'm like, that person's communicating something to me because I'm being aware and paying attention to what they're communicating. Right. And so same like we did with an animal, like a stance, or like, like we had to be aware of that. And you were like, oh, when that motherfucker does this is about to happen. We needed that to survive. So I think that's where it comes from. Yeah. It's a trained skill.
It's 100% is where it comes from.
Right. Like, or else we're dead. Like there's no way you survive without that's why we survive, right? The ability to like look at those things, adapt those things, group together, like, and be like, okay, like when this happens, I'm gonna grab this tree branch and like whack him in the head, even though he's 40 times. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we had to do.
Like Jane Goodall has done studies on this. I think Piaget got into animal behavior, and I think I forget if it was Piaget. Remember I talked about the mice, and how they wrestle or whatever.
Yeah.
I forget if that was Piaget or Panksepp, but all of them have done studies on the origins of like our awareness and paying attention, and it all comes from cat, snake, bird, predators. And so like Another thing was it was oh fuck, I forget who it was. Doesn't matter. I think it was Jane Goodall. Did a study and wrote a book about the how our eyesight became so good. And part of it was because of the predators that were coming after us. And also, if you want to get biblical, I think, and this blows my mind, but in Genesis, when they talk about when they're in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve are in the Garden of Eden, and they excuse me, the snake is what like tempts Eve, and then also there's a snake and there's fruit, and so the two things that give human beings vision in the Garden of Eden are a predator and what we eat, or something that preys on us and what we eat. And I'm not going to get into all the details of that, but like that is mind-boggling. And so there's a correlation across history that proves and shows how important paying attention was, and why and where we got our ability to have consciousness from.
Yeah, it's super important. Like, and like I said, so anyone can do it, because, by the way, like, it's a different, like, it's funny. We would say, like, if you saw even if something, even like a cat or a dog, but I was gonna say a lion, but even something as simple as that, like, that lion's not happy, or he looks like he's angry, or he's about, like, that's you doing the same thing we're talking about, because the lion didn't get up and say, I'm mad. He doesn't pout like a toddler. You're perceiving his, like, the community and being like, oh shit, something's not really like right about that, versus like him just chilling. And the skill, like, there's people called like mentalists. There's a lot of psychologists that do this. FBI, like negotiators. There's people who are trained at this. And like you said, what you're actually doing is you realize there's not that many variables and differentiations between people, and you pick up on certain body language that people are putting off, and you say, especially if you can tie it in with like profilers is what they're called in the law enforcement. Like, oh, I know a little bit about this person. This is how they're going to respond. It's like, oh, how can you do that? It's like we all have that ability. They're just paying attention to, and like you said, when you do that, you realize, like I said, there's not really that many scenarios and reactions.
And they've built the muscle up to the point that they're, expert level.
Exactly. So
it's not like they, and like to some degree they went to a class and figured it out, but like they also, your muscles don't get stronger by reading a book.
Right. Well, going to class just helps you aware, you're conscious, like we were talking about earlier, the consciousness of it. As soon as you become conscious,
maybe widens your awareness, but it doesn't practically improve your ability. You gotta fucking pay attention.
You gotta read. The only way they get better at it, like you said, they call it read. Is that they have to profile or read, right? And like that's the only way it gets better. So it's like, it's funny that, like I said, and all it is paying attention. Like, people just don't pay attention. Even something as simple as magic. We're always amazed by magic. Oh, how did that happen? It's sleight of hand. Magicians are really powerful at knowing that, oh, if I do this over here, 90% of the people are going to pay attention over here. Because I know that about you, and that because you're on autopilot. And then we can get into actually programming, because I even teach this in selling. I can actually put you in a trance and have you focus on something to divert your attention to that. And then I do something over here that it's not that crazy. You just weren't paying attention to it. And then you're like, oh shit. Like, oh, and it's like, well, yeah, I mean, you just, you turn literally a blind eye. You just weren't aware to this thing going over here. Magicians are good at it too. Like, but like, those are the people I think are like really good at this skill, but everyone can do what we're talking about.
Yeah. And it's not unique to those fields. It's
something
that carries over and is useful everywhere you go.
But
even especially in like
also been proven, 90% of people operate in a trance on autopilot, meaning that what you were talking about, what like pisses us off, is that most people don't consciously think about what it is that they just, my alarm went off and I can do this and this, and they get in the car. And then people usually describe it as like, I just like blanked out. I don't know. I just got to work. And it's like, no, because like you're not consciously paying attention to what you do throughout your day. You're just on autopilot, which I tell my wife, I'm like, dude, people are fucking dangerous. And she always laughs. I'm like, no, because a motherfucker who's like on auto, like,
Harmless.
I do know for the reasons we just talked about, but it's like, you never know what someone's going to do because like you said, someone who's just like reactory like that, it's like, you're a danger to society. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like the people who like, oh, their car slips on ice and they're just like, and like you kill 8 people. I'm like, I hate you.
I hate you.
Because the first thing I do when it's
murdered them
on the road is I'm like, oh, if we hit, I'm aware and like we're gonna do like that's happened.
Yeah.
I'm just it's like
Well, and I've played a lot of Grand Theft Auto. I know how to work my way through that shit. No, I'm kidding. I've never played Grand Theft Auto, but
never have really.
No, I did play Midnight Club for a grip though. I think Midnight Club helped me with my driving the most. Like I used to, Anyway, but I was actually just about to bring up driving when you brought that up about ice. One thing that everyone around me, like at least that I know, if I'm ever riding in a car with them, the way that I drive is like they find it peculiar and so like sometimes the main thing that I do when I drive, I don't look at the other cars. I look at the people driving the cars. And so I look at let me think of a good example of this. Let's say, I'm in a lane to turn left and I see someone oncoming that's going to turn right. And so we're both going to the same street, right?
Mm-hmm.
We both turn on the same road.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, they may like be flooring it or like let's say they're just going fast as fuck. Okay? And I see in their shit that like they're not paying attention. So how like I don't know how they're gonna make this turn. So instead of me like, well, this no, I don't like this. I don't like this scenario.
I don't like this.
Here's a better scenario. This is where I use it the most. When I'm on the highway, okay, and I'm going fast, like I don't look at the other cars that I'm like trying to get around or get it into, right? Because like I keep a steady 10 over.
Oh, for sure.
That's where I like to be. Okay?
Right.
And if you're not that way, get out of my way.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times people are just on autopilot in the most autopilot-y way on the highway, and they're just I'll be in the fast lane going the speed limit.
Oh man, the worst.
And I'm like, okay, you are scum of the earth. I'm going to whip my shit around you. Now, there's some cases where I get up in somebody's ass because I'm going the appropriate speed for the fast lane.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not. And so I don't look at their car. I look at the person in the front seat and I see, are they looking in their mirrors? Are they paying attention to what's going on around them? And so sometimes if they're paying attention to what's going on around them, I can see they look in their mirrors, they're looking up, right, doing their thing. 9 times out of 10, if they're aware and looking in their mirrors, they'll get over and get out of my way.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're not, every time they're just whatever texting or just not looking in their mirrors, just on autopilot.
Right.
They never get out of the way. And in those instances, I whip around them and get past them.
Right.
So so sometimes like people that I drive with get anxious because they don't see how I distinguish between when I whip around somebody and when I wait for them to get out of the way. And so sometimes they're like, oh shit, they're gonna fucking hit you. Like they're gonna try to get over because you're up in their ass. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no. I already see that they don't even know I'm behind them.
Right.
So they're not gonna move or it's at least less likely that they move. And so I can just, and be right around them, and we'll go about our happy day.
Right.
And I'll go right back to cruising 10 over. And so it's little things like that where, and I don't, maybe more people do that than I think, but it just seems like that I pay attention to what is, how aware is the other person that is driving. And so then I make my decisions based off of that. And another thing, I don't want to be behind someone that isn't paying attention. I don't want to be next to somebody that isn't paying attention.
Yes, that's what makes me even more pissed. I'm behind, next to someone.
So when if I'm, I might hit 90 trying to get past 10 people that are just like zombies driving their fucking car on the way home from work. I don't want to be around them. I'm going to go 90 to get past them, so I can be by myself where I don't got to worry about people that are zombies driving their car on the way home.
Right. And that's what I mean when I say, I'm like, because people are dangerous, like exactly what you're saying. Like, I'm like, no, someone who's not paying attention, like, no, you're a danger. I have to get away from you. Like, you're an idiot, and you could just like respond to something rapid and like, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm like, none of you are paying attention. I'm going way past you all. Like,
exactly. And it's just, I can't imagine not thinking that. I mean, that's just it's not just in driving. I mean, it's like being around people that are like that, they wouldn't like me because I would give them shit 24/7. But I just don't, I can't, excuse me. I can't fathom being that way. Like and it's, maybe it's, I'm kind of curious about the like origins, or not the origins, but like for us, the origins, what set us apart, and personally, I think it's because of like, I had to be aware of shit growing up. I didn't live in a bubble. Like I had all kind of different friends. I had all kind of different experiences. Like I've seen people get shot. And not that that's like you need that, but like, some shit wakes you up, bro. You know what I mean? Like you're not just this, I don't know, you're not, Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. Most of y'all ain't thinking.
Not at all.
So what are you? I don't know what you are, but
it's dude, it's honestly amazing to me. Like you said, like most people don't think, and I just wonder, I'm like, what the fuck do you do all day? Because like I said, it's hard for me to find a moment where I'm not doing that. Like what, like
you sit around and get depressed and suicidal.
I just like, so what does your brain do all day? Like I don't, like, you're not critically thinking about not shit. Like what do you
sleep, feel depressed, suicidal, look at social media.
Yeah, I guess that's right. That makes sense.
Exacerbate all the
void with mind-numbing activities. That makes okay, that makes sense. I guess I do know. Yeah, you're right. I think for me it was yes, obviously certain situations wake you up. I think I consciously remember being little, right? Like I was small, and consciously, like obviously that's something people point out and do, and I just wanted to control what I can, like, and I don't know, like that. I think that's where it started for me, and I realized that, oh, if I can prepare, like pre-prepare for these things before, I have an advantage, because I just, like, most people are not. I think that's where it started, was like, oh, because I'm little and I can't, like, I have to pre-prepare for things. And as I pre-prepared for things and I start seeing that the things that I pre-prepared for would come to fruition, and it was kind of almost like you said, like,
it was easier to handle.
Yeah, well, but also you could like almost kind of predict the future. If it's like, oh, and that would happen over and over. That's like what opened my mind to that, and like started working that muscle. And then later on, I came to the realness, like, oh, these people are not aware, and I am aware. Like, I think sports is a great one too. Like basketball, football. I know you're the same way.
Yeah,
Part
sports
of the things
that
I think made both of us very successful in that is like, they say, oh, you have to have good reaction. I'm not necessarily obviously you're doing a reaction, but it's like, I already like read and like decided if this happens, this is what I'm going to do. And then I'm reading that before, and you see like, oh, right. And it's almost like I already knew.
Exactly. As a quarterback, that was the same. I wasn't reacting split second. It was, I saw how that cornerback was lined up inside. So I know that slant ain't going to be there. So I'm going to, maybe quick fake like I'm there. And then I already knew before I touched the ball that I'm coming back over here, but I'm still going to just peek over here just to hold the safety for a second. Because I'm coming back to this whatever post or out or in or whatever on this backside, because both corners were inside. I know this is probably not going to be there, so I'm just going to peek and then come right back to the other side.
Right. And so when you turn and do that, you're not looking for the guy to be open. You've already he has to be open. And so you throw the ball and then and he's there. And it's like, yeah, exactly.
And so I guess what it's like, the whole job isn't done. Like, you still have some, I guess what the goal is to minimize the amount of split-second decisions, because we're not capable of making that many at one time.
Yeah,
so,
we're really not.
So you can make let's say one split-second decision.
I'm actually glad you brought that up, because I want you to dive into that a little bit, because I think that's what we talk about. I think most people think, and that's where you're just really good at reacting split time. And it's like, no, I've minimized all the factors before, so I'm only making like one at max. Like, you're reacting to all these, and you think you take all these variables in.
You're overwhelmed, whereas I'm calm as a cucumber, because I've already played out this situation 50 times.
Right. And like you said, and minimize the other one. So it's like, you think I'm making 4, 5, 6, but we're not capable of making that many. I'm really only making like one, maybe 2 at max in that split decision. And I know if that 1 or 2 happens, I know everything else falls into place that happens.
Yeah. So let's roll with the football one for a second. So I already know the corners on the outside they're in, right? They're not going to let any inside route happen. So on this side, I've got slant. That ain't going to fly. But I still know. So I already know before I touch the ball, I'm not going there. Okay. But I'm going to pretend like I'm looking over there just because I like toying with safeties. I love toying with dudes. So I'm looking, and then I'm coming right back. And then I look, boom, that out route. Let's pretend the corner jumps it. Okay. Well, and maybe they jump let's just pretend they jump, way too short. So I just throw it up high. And so I made the split-second decision. I was going to fucking sling it in there on the outside away from the corner, because I knew my dude's going outside.
Mm-hmm.
But if he jumps it somehow, then I'll throw it up above him and let my dude kind of react like this, and he'll turn away, catch the ball, and the corner's down there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like in that split second, I was able to adjust how I was going to throw the ball. It could have been I could have been here, about to throw it, and I just adjust the way I'm throwing it, in that split second, to then throw it where I want to go.
Right.
Same thing with, let's say I'm having a conversation with somebody. Okay, I'll bring up an example that I had. I was out getting tacos with my dude Cam and some other guy, and we went with this girl, and not my girl. I'm trying to remember. This was a while ago, maybe 6 months ago, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow it probably longer than that. It was longer than that. Anyway, it was warm out, so we were chilling outside, and both of them. She was a Indian girl, and beautiful, love her to death, but more of a friend. I'm not attracted to her really. And she went to the bathroom, and both these dudes asked me. They were asking me if I would date her, and I was like, or if I was trying to smash.
Mm-hmm.
And and I was like into my response, and I said something about I think I actually said, as she was coming out the bathroom back to the seat, I said, nah, I wouldn't smash. And she's like, what are y'all talking about? and and so I, like, with the quickness, was like, oh, we was just talking about this girl that I like, that you know, I was messing with on Tinder or whatever. And yeah, that's what we were talking about. And she was like, oh, okay. And so she didn't even know. And both of them looked at me like, bro, how did you do what? How'd you even think to say that? And I'm like, because I've already played out this scenario like 50 times. Like, I was already prepared for all the different shit I would have said. In addition to, and so it was like a split-second decision where I was like, yes, we were talking about whether or not I would smash you, my friend. So I could be like, I could say that, but yikes. That's
me level.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give a damn. What were we talking about? They asked me if I would have sex with you.
I didn't want to, and here's the reason why I didn't say that, because normally I would.
It's disrespectful to her. I get it.
No, I didn't want to put my homies in a spot where, like, she's like, ew, like, what do y'all, why would you talk about that? So
fair.
It was more like, yes, it was more out of it was respect for her, but more so respect for my dudes, where I was like, I flipped it to something else so that, like,
so that they didn't have to deal with
they didn't look bad.
Right.
So everybody's good, and
which is something that us that do that, by the way, do all the time, that other people don't do and aren't aware of, and it is a burden. Like like when I'm around people, like I said, I'm also, because no one else is fucking aware. Not only am I aware, like I said, I'm also aware for all those people. So like I said, in that set, you're like, okay, I would say this, but I have to be worried about how they're dumbasses and didn't think about it. And so now I have to adapt what I do or say to save your dumbass, because you don't fucking think for shit. And it's the most annoying thing. So it's also why I like to be alone, because I'm like, all you guys are idiots. Like, no one thinks about anything. So I'm left thinking for all of you. I'm gonna stay over here in my corner by myself. Like, fucking retard.
Well, but yeah, that was my thought process. Was like, my initial reaction, the first split-second decision I could have made was, yeah, we were just talking about if I would have sex. And that, I didn't, in the way that I played it out in my brain, that wouldn't look good on them.
Right. So
I was like, okay, next option, which is, we'll just make something up. And like, I think I was single at this time. It had to be, because I've been with Tay for like a year and a half now. So it was a while. It had to be a while.
Right.
Before this. And so, so I was like, so the next option is, okay, I'm on Tinder, been talking about,
right.
People, been talking to her and them about people on Tinder. So boom, like, next best, I just pretend I made up some stuff about boom, and boom, there. And it was like, I didn't even think.
Yeah, it's like a tenth of it. Yeah, it's not. It's like,
I did think, but yeah, I mean, it's a split-second decision. It's a split-second thought where it's like, I was able to run through the scenario like that, of if I were to respond this way or this way. And so this one's not good, so boom, I go with this one, and boom, I said it. And they were like, I remember we were walking out, because she drove separate. We were walking out, and they were like, bro, how did you respond like that? And I was like, well, I had thought it through. I already thought through, okay, what happens when she comes back? When she left and y'all asked me this question, I already thought, what happens when we're still having this conversation and she gets back?
Right, because most people, it's funny when you do that, because I've been in situations where you walk away and you're the person that leaves, and there's obviously a conversation going, but the people who are having the conversation are dumbasses and don't do this. And so then they just like kind of stop talking, or like they're like bring up a new topic, and you're just like, Oh, so y'all were talking about some shit that you don't want me to know. It's just like, because
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
don't think about it. Like, you
Yeah.
suck.
You suck.
You're
And so it was like, and she's a very aware person. And so I knew that like it was a highly probable that one, we would still be having the conversation, but then two, she would ask
when those situations happen for you, do you feel like time slows down and you're able to go through that, or do you feel like time speeds up and you're able to make that decision?
Everything slows down. It's like I remember my senior year playing football, compared to like freshman year, it was like playing in fast forward versus playing in slow motion. And that's it feels the same way in those moments where it's like I think I naturally kind of talk. I don't talk, well, sometimes I talk fast, but most of the time I talk pretty like mellow and slow. And the reason for that, I think, is just because I'm most of the time in that sort of state.
Right.
I'm thinking through exactly what I want to say and trying to be precise in what I say. And so the same thing in those situations, I've been in so many of them. And part of it is practice, but part of it is also preparation. Like I've thought about a lot of things and the way that I would think things through and the way that I would act things out. And so like I'm prepared for most situations. And so things slow down to the point where I can just calmly respond in whatever way that I want.
That's interesting. Because I think for me, it's both. Like when I think of physical endeavors, it slows down. But I don't, when I'm in those moments, I guess everything speeds up because like I don't feel like it went slow. Like, but like you said, I know I'm aware that all that happened, but it was like so quick. So it's like almost like things speed up. So like for instance, for example, when I went and experienced and played college football, I can't stand watching high schoolers now because everything is so fucking slow. And like because the speed, one of the differences between college, especially like, you know, we were division champions over like, you know, a premier program at any level is like I would say specifically at top tier D2s and the Division 1 for sure. And I think that's what separates Division 1 and Division 2 is the speed at which the information you have to process information. And so like it's the same game and the same everything as high school, but like everything's faster. And so I'm just like, oh my fucking God, when I watch a high school, I'm like, these motherfuckers, like
I haven't watched a college game since, well, I watched the championship games.
Right, the playoffs.
But I don't watch regular season college football.
I remember you terrible. Like, dude, when I watch high school, I'm just like, boy, it's so fucking slow. And so things
I haven't watched high school in a long time.
I feel like this when we put when I play basketball too. Like when
I guess I coached football, so I guess I watched high school football back. But like we were like D8. Like the team that I was on that I coached for was trash.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly for like 1-8, I just think like
even D1, I can imagine.
Right? Like for me, when I'm doing something physical, it slows down. Like when I'm coming, I do that same thing, but like everything seems to slow down for me. Versus when I'm in the search, it like speeds up. But I just wondered how it felt to you in those moments because, like I said, I know I've picked up on that difference before. But yeah, man, it's interesting for sure. And I don't know. Like I said, I couldn't imagine waking up and living everyday life without like I said, it's not something that I have to consciously I don't have a choice anymore. Like it's not like where I consciously put towards any energy or effort to like, there are certain situations, but like not just like those, like, so like that's just like autopilot now. Like that is my autopilot state versus I don't even know what the other state is. I don't know what the fuck people be doing with their fucking time walking around all day.
Yeah, me either. For sure. So yeah, pay attention. That's the moral of the story.
Good Lord.
And don't trick yourself into thinking that you're not capable of of that.
Yeah, that's my pet
That
peeve.
is so.
When someone goes, well, this is just because that's you, and I'm like, what the fuck? Do I look like fucking Jesus Christ to you? Like, what do you mean? If one fucking human did it, the other, you have the same fucking ability. That is how this shit works. Like, there's not one cheetah that can get up to 60 miles per hour. Like, they all can do it. Like, what do you think? I hate when people say, well, it's just because it's you. I'm like, what does that mean?
Well, I'm different.
Yeah. like
yeah, but we're more the same than we're different.
Exactly. That's what, like, yes, the things that make it are like so like few and far between.
Yeah.
We're way more, we're all like basically like 90, but that's what people don't realize is like that tiny percent of difference does really make you an individual. We're pretty much 99.99% clones. And then you have like a 0.1, and what you decide to change up in that 0.1 makes you an individual. But like everything else is the fucking same. Like I hate when people, that's such a pet peeve. I'm just like, every time someone says that, I'm just like, okay, kill yourself. Right. Actually, I have a more efficient way of saying it. I was
kill yourself.
My new thing is I'm like, okay. At my home, there's a safe. In that safe is a gun. It's already loaded. Just end your life because you are a waste of space.
A waste of space.
Like, it's like what?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Have you really relegated yourself to, oh, white kid, that's just you? Like,
well, I mean,
imagine if here's where it makes me frustrated, is imagine if we applied it to anything else. Oh, you're learning how to drive. I can't drive. That's just you. Like, I can't be taught math. That's just you. I can't learn how to read. You're like, what do you like? That's how. Like, what do you mean? You go through life and you don't know something, and it brought you, and you learn how to do it from someone else. Like, what?
It's David Goggins. You know David Goggins?
Mm-hmm.
He talks about. I know in his book, and he's talked about it a couple of times on social media, how people, a lot like cars, have governors on them. And a governor essentially like restricts the output or the capability of the vehicle to, let's say, 40% capacity.
Right.
60% capacity, doesn't matter. It limits it to go up to full of 100% capacity for various reasons. Various reasons.
Right.
Doesn't really matter. But just in the same way, people put governors on themselves. And that it's not just physical stuff. It's not just like your physical ability or your athletic ability or whatever. Like everybody's got, it's also your rational, spiritual capability as a person. And so if you put a governor on your mind and say, oh, well, you can do that, you're just different, I can't do that. Or you say, well, I grew up this way, so I'm just not able to do it. I grew up in a fucking perfect home and I didn't have any problems. And so I don't know what it's like to struggle. And this happens a lot with people that read fucking White Fragility and shit like that, where they're like, people and with the whole like woke intersectional critical race theory movement, like white people are then become subjected to this like I don't even know what it's like. You have to be you're the oppressor. You're like some evil thing just because you're white, and you're like, you just bend yourself into a bunch of knots trying to rationalize how you live like that. And that's just, so you force yourself. I know I've seen a lot of people that force themselves to say certain things and then when you hear them and when I see that, I think, oh, this person is like this, they're not real. They're a fake person. They're a zombie. They're not paying attention. There's no thought going into this. You're just trying to, I don't know, you're trying to appease other people or even yourself, because you don't have really a self. You have a collection of other people's opinions of you, and that's what makes up yourself.
Yeah.
And that way of living and the way that people talk and act when they're like that, you're not, that is like a self-imposed governor on yourself. So you're limited to the capacity that has been set by what other people think of you or what you think of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so you automatically are limited to, let's say, 40% of who you could be. And if you're 40% of who you could be, you're pretty much a waste of carbon. You know what I mean? Which is the same thing that you're saying. Like, there's a guy
It's just
at my house and it's loaded.
I love that you brought that example up.
Mine's got a 24 round clip. You got me? So you can take 2 if you want.
Not take 2 if you want. I think it's funny that you brought it up because it's so true. I always Roger Bannister.
No.
It was universally believed before the 50s that humans couldn't run a mile in 4 minutes.
Okay.
It was like we didn't like, it's not possible.
Yeah, I think I've heard of this.
And then Roger Bannister was the first recorded individual, at least, to run a 4-minute mile.
Yeah.
Now it's done all the time.
Yeah. Now it's like.
Yeah, like it was literally, and this is not like this was in the 50s. So like, I mean, long ago, but like not like some of our parents were born in the 60s. Like,
not long enough ago to change much.
Yeah, like 50, 60 years ago. And that's what we were talking, like, and people, we do that. We can't, like, what do you mean? And I mean, I don't know his story, but I'm like, just run it. Like, what did the run? Like, you know, and then now it's like, everyone's like, oh, like, and like high schoolers do it now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know high schoolers that run a sub.
Yeah, it's like it's place now. Like, it's really not that big of a deal, and it's nothing changed other than like I think there was a study I read once that the year after he did it, he was like the first one. Then there was just like so many people that did it, and it was just like, because like you said, we put these on ourselves, you know, both physically and mentally and all that, and like, why? Like,
for what? Yeah.
Like, remove it and you can do like what are you talking about? And so it's just such a pet peeve of mine when people do that.
Yeah. So it's foolish. Like, you're not. And I guess the main thing is like, what are the consequences of that? Positive and negative. And from my perspective, there's only negative consequences to doing that. And that's part of the profundity of speaking things into existence, and what I get from Genesis is God spoke and things came into existence. I'm made in the image of God, therefore I can speak things into existence as well. Mm-hmm. And people are, you know, and a genie is the same thing. I ask a genie for something and it grants that wish. Mm-hmm. Well, it doesn't work like that in real life where, you know, you ask for it and there it is.
Right.
But the concept is the same. And the root genie is the root of genius. So being able to, I feel like I'm Trump now. You got the root of genie is
so
Trump. So if you want something, speak it into existence. You want a sub 4 minute mile, do it. And I'm sure maybe in 50 years, maybe in another 100 years, motherfuckers will be running a 3 minute mile.
Right.
I don't know. Or, you know what I mean? Like there is no, eventually we're going to get to the point where, well, we're already at that point where, like, what if you want it, you can get it. And so, like, you just have to have the willpower and the consciousness and the self-awareness to make the sacrifices necessary to get what you want. And so when you speak something into existence, there is, if it's going to stretch you or challenge you in any way, you're going to have to make sacrifices. Okay? You're going to have to not go to parties. You're going to have to, work out instead of, I don't know, going to do, I don't know, whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm. Instead of hanging out with friends, instead of playing video games, you got to work out. Hard choices give you an easy life. Easy choices give you a hard life. That's my motto in life. Hard choices, easy life. Easy choices, hard life. And so, best believe I'm having an easy life.
Yeah, I think in addition to what you said was like, I made an image of God, and so I have that same thing. We were also, one of the first things he did when he created Adam, right, was gave him dominion over everything on this planet. Meaning, like, I literally, so it's like, it doesn't just mean like not necessarily say I just snap my fingers, but like basically dominion is like the authority, the right to like shift, mold, make, like exactly what you're talking about, the process of also create like what I speak into existence, making it happen as well. Like we have that ability. And so, but we just put caps in ourselves like, oh, I can't, we can't. It's like, what? Like, no, we can't. Like,
yeah.
So not run a 3 minute mile. I don't know. And not all of us are obviously going to have that same mission, but it's like somebody can. I don't fucking know. Like,
yeah.
Who would, like,
it ain't me.
Right? Like, you're right. Because I just don't care enough to like
miss me with running, period, let alone a mile, bro.
Right. Give me 100 meters. I'm
100 meters. Yep. 200.
Two if if I'm feeling froggy.
Pushing it. Yes. Still pushing it. Exactly. So like that's what it comes down to, and you just have to like I don't. It's really it's a shame that many people are like that, but I think that the more that you
here's something that one of my mentors said that is so true about this. Everything that we believe about anything, we made it up, right? Whatever we believe is true. And so we use an example like I'll never be a millionaire. Okay, is that true or not? Like I don't know. I will be a millionaire. Is that true or not? I don't know. But since everything that I'm doing is I'm making up a belief about something, why not make a belief that serves me rather than a belief that like gives me no chance at all? Like, and so the perfect example of that is he was speaking at an event and he said, at the end of this, if I asked you where you were going, you would all say, oh, I'm going home. He said, but that's not true. What you mean is you intend to go home. If you make it home or not, you have no control over, you're not sure. Like, we're not actually sure if we'll make it home.
Yeah.
But in that, you're creating the belief that serves you that I'm going home, even though what we mean is we intend to. And so it's like, and that's just like such a practical example. It's like, we do that about everything. So like while you're in the process of like, because that's just what we do all day. Like we just make up beliefs about something, make up beliefs that serve you, because the outcome, like you said, like when you do that, the outcome is you usually get at least somewhere close to that out. Like, like in a belief that like, because if you say, oh, I could never be a millionaire. Well, you're absolutely right. You have no chance of financial freedom at all. You are going to probably fucking die dirt poor and never have enough if you say things like that.
Yep.
If you say, I will be a multimillionaire, you may, like, because you're not, you could die tomorrow. Like, you may not get, but like,
and then,
odds and likelihood heavily increase.
Yeah. Well, and when you speak those things, that actually comes into being around you. That's why it's so important to, that's why the Genesis story is so important, is like, it's giving you the framework, or the
right
way to do it. Like I don't know, you know what I'm saying? It's like, here's the strategy, here's the method. Speaking into existence, and then
the reason that we're saying is because when we speak things when we create a belief that serves us and we speak that into existence, our actions align with our beliefs.
Yes.
Right. Like if I don't believe that a bridge that's up ahead is going to hold me, my actions are not going to align with walking out on that bridge.
Well, and that's why it's so important that when you speak something into existence, or let's say, that's why it's so important when you make a principle for yourself, that you hold that principle and you act it out. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't, then you become weaker and you cheat yourself.
Right.
Well, it could be something stupid. Like for me, like, could I have gone through college and graduated and went to parties? Yes. But did I want to I wasn't willing to sacrifice what I would lose by doing that. Mm-hmm. And plus, I was in Ashland wanting to play football, and then it didn't work out, and I ended up there and was happy with that. And I learned a lot. Cool. I'm straight.
Right.
I was comfortable with that sacrifice and those consequences. If you cheat yourself, a little bit of you dies, or a little bit of who you could be dies. Mm-hmm. And so then you become weaker. And so then the next time that you want to set a commitment or make a principle for yourself, you're that much less likely to follow through. And then it progresses exponentially. And so then the next time it's twice as likely, and then 4 times as likely, and then 8 times as likely. Mm-hmm. But it's also the same way going the other way. This is momentum. I love momentum. Okay. So then if you do hold that, you stick to that principle, you follow through with that commitment, the next time you're twice as likely, and then 4 times, and then 8, and then 16, and then 32. And so then eventually you get to the point where you're 164 times as likely to follow through with your commitment. You say, I'm going to be a millionaire. And then it's almost like inevitable. Of course I'm going to do it.
Right. Well, and the other thing that happens too is, like I said, because we don't realize the versions of it, like in our minds. Like I said, the conscious and the subconscious, like I said, you can say that. And if I say those things, if I profess that, for instance, I speak that into existence, my mind starts looking for and figuring out how that's going to happen. If I never say that, or I say I won't be, it stops.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're not like, so not only that, it's like no resources even being spent on figuring out how to improve your situation. Right. Yeah. We find they see this in like the medical industry with like people who are in comas and stuff, which is why they say, come to them and read to, like all these, like if there's no hope, like, people don't have that like and there's no will built up in them, they die. Like,
yeah.
Like their brain just stops looking for any inkling or willingness to fight back to consciousness, versus like when you have that, it's like, a lot of times those people come out of comas. Like it's very simple. Well, I mean, it's complex, but simple in the fact of like what needs to be done. Just amazing how many people don't do it.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I'm about to shit myself, so seems like a good time to end.
I'd say so. All right, brother. I'm gonna get out of here. I will see you next week.
Sounds good. I've got a couple of these like backlog. So this is gonna be. I'll put this one out like in a couple weeks probably.
Cool.
So
Don't worry.
just letting you know.
All right, man.
All right, bro.
Peace.
Peace.